right, hello, and welcome to our podcast number 4, I believe, The Art of Self-Care with Stacey Stone and myself, Marla Wall. And today I thought we would talk about, we're going to be doing our breathing workshop this Saturday, and which is July 25th, 2020. And one of the things that's been coming up with me and my clients is the state of the world, the chaos of the world. Have you been encountering this with your clients, Stacey?
Oh, most definitely. Yes, yes. And seeing how, just get right into it, how with this extra layer of stress that we've all got and continues to be with us, we need to learn how to address it on a daily basis. And my go-to has been through breathing. Just understanding the physiological component to it. It's what's happening when you're slowing down breath, and not just slowing down breath, but that idea of saving some of that carbon dioxide, what the importance of that is. So that's what I've been tapping into with my clients, and sounds like you've been doing the same. Yeah,
I have. So we've been on this journey of studying Buteyko breathing, and we're going to be going a lot deeper with it in August, which is really exciting. But the main piece that I learned through the initial studies I've done with Buteyko was this idea that many of us have this invisible hyperventilation going on, and it's part of the fight, flight, freeze system in our body, is that we do these short, choppy breaths, oftentimes through the mouth. The more stressed we are, the more intense this becomes. But I would call it invisible because we think of hyperventilation as this like very loud, very obvious thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it can be that more often than but often it's very quiet and maybe not noticeable to most people. So I have had a few clients lately that I'm just beginning to teach them breath awareness and stuff. And as we start to do it, the psychological piece is coming in. So the mental, emotional fear, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and it's collective. So for many people, it's quite amplified. And so it becomes like a spiral. It's a cycle. The hyperventilation creates more stress. The stress creates more hyperventilation, and it's just like chasing its tail like that, and it just spirals. It's a bit like a hurricane.
Yeah. Or like you had said earlier, that carousel. And I think that was a really good analogy, that it just spins, or you're spinning around and faster. So you get on that and you can't stop, and then it makes the brain race more. So the question is, how can we hijack that system and slow it down? How can we just like stick a leg out so we can slow down? And I think you had a really great way that you talked about that with the breathing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if we're going to use that image of the hurricane or the carousel merry-go-round thing, I think the opposite image on the other end of the spectrum is the meditator in the market. Is that quiet center, the eye of the hurricane in a sense, the eye of the storm. So it can be a very strengthening choice to choose stillness in that middle of chaos. It takes strength to make that choice, and it's like a muscle that we have to strengthen. It's an awareness practice that we have to strengthen, and the breath is really the vehicle for that. No matter what you're doing or what type of breath you're doing, it almost doesn't matter initially. The moment we switch our focus to our breathing, notice the breath coming in through your nose, out through the nose. I would say I'll caveat that it shouldn't be through the mouth. Because that's going to create more stress. But as long as you're just breathing, noticing the breath in and out through the nose, that's already going to start to calm your system down.
Yeah.
And so following that thread and then getting more and more refined with it.
And I think that just on a physiological level is that your breath has an immediate effect on your heart. So by slowing that breath down, your heart can start to slow. And then everything calms down, the hormones, the stress hormones can start to slow. And so that's where you were able to use pretty successfully. It sounded like that client of yours that hadn't been able to de-stress, and you gave her this one exercise, and she felt that carousel start to slow down a little bit.
Yes. And then I love the Buteyko exercises, and we're learning more and more of them, because once you understand the principle, every client, every person can structure them in a way that feels safe for them. So you're not trying to fit, that's the challenge with doing breath recordings or teaching a large group of people, is that everyone is in their own situation. And so this client was able to take the principles. I was teaching a group, but I just gave out the principles and I said, I want you to just structure this in a way that feels comfortable and safe for you. And it was the first time she'd been able to focus on her breath and not get pushed into more anxiety. So it is important to notice that, or recognize that the breathing diaphragm is part of your fight, flight, freeze system in your body. So when we go into fight, flight, freeze, your diaphragm pretty much gets stuck. Digestion stops, the peristaltic muscles, all those digestive muscles in your body pretty much stop. It's like the alarm bells are ringing and the middle part of your body is kind of frozen.
Yeah.
Yes. You're like locked, your eyes are popping out of your head. It's a bit like this. So it's another way of thinking about it is it's very sagittal. You're in the wheel plane. It's like you've got tunnel vision. So when we want to come out of fight, flight, freeze, when we recognize, okay, there's no lion chasing me. I haven't lost my iPhone. I know where my children are. Then we can start to open out into the coronal plane. So into that door plane where we have peripheral vision. The breath slows, the eyes relax, and then your diaphragm starts to move. So when we know there's no tiger chasing us, we can actually use the strength of our mind to start to slow things down. Feel the breath through your nose. Start to feel that movement of the diaphragm, the pressure change through the center of your body. And it's maybe very soft, very subtle, but we start to dial it down. We start to dial ourselves back from the red zone.
So should we tell them about this exercise?
Yes, Stacy, I think it would be great if you would share this very useful exercise, and I'm going to follow with you. So go ahead.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to have a client who'd used this. She told me she gave blood regularly, and she said she always just has to lay down because she's ultimately going to pass out. And she used this exercise, and because the nurse was prepared to get her to lay down and all that, and she used this exercise, and none of those things happened. So I think the thing is, as strong as that memory can be, specifically in that instance, like every time when she's giving blood, pretty regularly, if we can just remember, go to breath, that's all you got to do. So this exercise, I'll present it in a very simplistic way at first, just so you have some guidelines. But then, like Marla was saying, I'm just going to give you some ways that you can fine tune it if you feel that this is a little too extreme for you. The key thing is it's something that should allow you to bring awareness to your breathing, and it should not create more anxiety. So if in slowing the breath the way that I'm talking about, you start to feel your heart rate rise or you feel your stress response, that's too slow for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. The key thing is you're meeting yourself where you're at in that moment. And that might be really crazy high stress. It might be medium stress. The key thing is you have to stick your leg out from that carousel to start slowing down one revolution at a time. And so it's a process, and it's also a practice. I have to always, always stress that. And I'm sure you do too, Marla, but it's not a test of your ego. That is not it at all, because that's going to trigger more stress. This is a practice of changing some fundamental chemical levels essentially in your brain, if you want to keep it really simple. So we have to understand that we're working with the brain in that way. So key thing is, as I cue you to slow the breath down, it should not create more stress. It should relax you. So we're going to begin by, I'll just take you through it first in words, and then I'll take you into the actual exercise. So we'll just tap into some diaphragmatic breathing. Normally I would take 3 to 5 minutes to do this, but today we'll do the quick version, saying you just found yourself in a really stressed state. Then I'm going to ask you to inhale normally, exhale normally. Don't try to change it. And then I'm going to just have you hold after the exhale for 5 seconds. I'm going to start you with it, but then I'm going to have you go on your own, because I do not expect you to stay with my count. This is a very individual practice. After that short hold of 5 seconds, you're going to inhale normally, exhale normally. You're going to do 2 normal breaths, and then we'll inhale that third breath, exhale, hold. for 5 seconds. And then we continue. We're going to do it just for 3 minutes because it only takes in the body about 3 minutes, depending on how practiced you are with this, to go from that stressful state to that more restful state. So the sympathetic response where you're, lion's chasing me, to that, okay, I can pause and take a deep breath and just chill for a second, okay, and have hopefully for longer. So let's go ahead and begin. You're going to close your eyes. And just place one hand on your diaphragm, so that spot right below your breastbone. And if you'd like, you can place one hand on your chest. And just begin to bring awareness to how you are moving breath in your body now. Is it coming in through your nose naturally, or do you prefer your mouth? Just notice. Where does it go? Do you feel the hand on the chest rise? Is it belly? Right under that hand on your diaphragm? Do they both move? What is the sound of your breath? Just notice the tempo of the breath as it moves in and out. Keeping your jaw relaxed, face relaxed. Begin to draw the breath gently in through the nose, so just tapping into that diaphragmatic breathing. And feel like you're drawing the breath downward into the bottom lobes of the lungs, just underneath the rib cage, so that you feel the diaphragm gently expand out into the hand on your belly. And then as you exhale, let the diaphragm relax. Literally like visualizing that it just kind of floats back up into its resting position, just underneath the rib cage. Keeping the jaw and face relaxed. Let's take a few more breaths like that. And feeling that diaphragmatic breath. Inhale, diaphragm descends. Exhale, it softens. So we'll assume that you came into this situation breathing just however you were breathing. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale through your nose, exhale through your nose, and hold for 5 seconds. If 5 seconds feels too long for you, make it less. Try 4 or 3. And then inhale normally, exhale normally 2 times. So again, I'm just going to guide you through it. You stay on your own. On your third inhale, you exhale normally and hold for up to 5 seconds. Again, no creation of stress at all in your body. Breathe normally. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhaling, third inhale, exhale. Hold after the exhale for up to 5 seconds. Now it's totally normal. We're going to go for a couple more minutes here. But it's totally normal as you begin this practice to feel like, oh, it's a little too long of a hold. That's fine. Go back to 3 seconds. Okay, we want to slow things down. So it's up to you to figure out where does your gauge need to be. So it's a normal inhale, normal exhale, 2 breaths like that. You take that third inhale, exhale normally. Don't try to push all the air out or anything like that. Just hold. And let your mind rest in that point of stillness. And then breathing normally. Exhale, inhale through the nose. Begin to notice how the breathing is naturally slowing, hopefully, on its own, that inhalation and exhalation. You've got about another minute. Relax the jaw and the face. Inhaling through the nose, exhale through the nose. Feel the diaphragm float up. After that third inhale, you exhale all the way out. And then just hold for maybe 5 seconds. And so you're in that stressful situation. You just go through this practice. And you hold those 3, 4, 5 seconds and then breathe normally in and out. Staying with your breath, bringing that mind inward to the breath, and slowing the breath down is slowing the heart rate. It's getting us out of that fight or flight response so you can begin to think a little more clearly, respond to what's in front of you a little more effectively, and just be a little more clear and calm. So you remove this blanket of stress. Take one more round of breath like that. And then after that third exhale, do your little pause, and then return back to diaphragmatic breathing. And notice. You can let your hands relax down if you'd like. But just notice how the breath has changed. Notice the sound of it as it comes in. Notice where it goes. Notice if there's less tension in the body, the shoulders, the neck, the jaw. your mind feels a little more relaxed. Take note of that shift because you created that on your own. And so that's our self-care tip, is how you can use breath to create this stillness, if even just for 3 minutes, because it's going to register in the brain, and the brain kind of likes to be more chill. It doesn't like being in this agitated state all the time. And then when we throw this blanket of stress on that we're all dealing with in the world right now, we have to begin to use these self-care tools more religiously. Otherwise, the stress is going to kill us, is my perspective. But we have ways to address this. And that's what Marla and I are hoping that you get out of this. Use this tool. And if you're interested in learning more, we both highly recommend our workshop this Saturday. We have a few spots left, so check in with us if you'd like to reserve a spot. But we also offer weekly classes. I offer one called Zen Hour on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We do a little stretching, and then there's some breathing practice within that. And Marla does one on breath oasis, correct?
I do, yeah, breath oasis on Fridays at 4 p.m. West Coast time. And it was very similar, very similar. It's a guided, spacious time where I'm going to do some gentle movement, leading you into some breathing, leading into a bit of meditation. And I'm always open to kind of focus the class wherever the group needs. So we have a little discussion when we first start, and just see what the group needs, kind of take the temperature. And it's a really great way to finish your week.
Awesome.
And so, Stacy, let's also say that in the notes underneath this video, you're going to see some instructions for that breathing. So
yes, I will do that.
Yeah, just type it out so that people can see the instructions for that. It's called the emergency breath, right?
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a tool for this. I have a tool for this. And that's what these self-care tools are all about, to get you guys to see that you have tools for these situations in life. And in doing so, it just brings down our overall stress so that we can be present in the moment and soak up life for what it is, and what it can be. So I hope you all get some out of that.
Yeah, and I want to encourage people that it's just like any other practice that you would start. Like, let's say you wanted to start running or jogging. The very first time you do it, it's maybe you're not going to get the benefits that you're hoping for. It takes a little bit of building. It takes a little bit of repetition to kind of really feel the benefits of it. You should feel some benefit right away, but regular practice, I can't stress that enough. And you said that too. And in yoga, they say it's 99% practice, 1% theory.
And the practice for this is the cool thing. It's just can be as simple sometimes as awareness of breath throughout the day. So we encourage you to check out more of this. This is a thing that should be like in the human Bible for health. I don't know if that's what you want to call it. Like, we should all be taught this stuff in school, but we're not. So that's why Marla and I are here to do that for you and help guide you in this process. So thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, and please join our workshop. If you're seeing this now, there's still a few spots left. So hope maybe we'll see you Saturday in our workshop. Otherwise, we'll be back with a new video next week.
Got it. Bye for now.